this webinar series for Business Connect is all about enhancing the knowledge, enhancing the sector, to know more, to do more, to be more active, and truly help more people. And how much more important is that than monitoring and evaluation, and to be able to actually look at really good information? And so we'll kick it off here. This expert session is around measuring the impact, with the WASH Institute. Abesh, welcome, and I'll introduce you, but welcome to this. Really excited to jump into this topic of measuring impact. I'll introduce myself. I'm Jeremy Lambert. I'm the CEO here at Business Connect. I've built my life and the importance of kind of integrating that love of people and care of people and hope and community, as well as business, and bringing those two things together all the time. And so always excited about that, over my career, and now really enjoying being the CEO and leading the team here. But honestly, there's great people like Abesh that are doing amazing things around the world. So it's fun from that side. So I enjoy these hosting things, but really it's all about Abesh and the work that's happening on the ground too. So Abesh, he is the Deputy Grant Manager at the WASH Institute. He's been, and you can read a lot of him, but the biggest parts is for over a decade, Abesh has been in this monitoring evaluation space, really emphasizing on that learning side. You've got to evaluate, you got to monitor, has the degrees, has the experience. So we're really excited to hear from you, Abesh, on that, and your work with the WASH Institute. So welcome, Abesh. Welcome with us.
Thank you so much, Jeremy. Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, a couple of quick instructions for those that are on here. There is Zoom translation, so there's a few instructions here. So if you need to or want to enable that translation, that's all within Zoom. So follow these instructions of going to the captions and so forth. So be sure that you can do that and be able to translate, because this is important for a global audience, and a global audience doesn't just speak English. So it's important for that translation side. Also, polls and surveys. So beforehand, and I'm going to go ahead and launch this survey now. If you can jump in beforehand, we're going to do this poll just as some input of where you're coming out of, what describes you best and why you're in this webinar, a little bit on the poll side. And then if you can, at the end, there's also going to be a survey after the session where you can give some feedback. And it's always good for us to continue to improve in these webinars. And then finally, the Q&A, please, there's a Q&A button down at the bottom. Obviously, use the webinar chat with each other, chat with us. We'll be monitoring that. But if you've got specific questions for Abesh that come up, please jump in the Q&A, and we'll have a Q&A time after the presentation. So that's a few, house details, if you will, around the instructions. But Abesh, I'm going to turn it over to you. I know the poll is still going in the background too, but Abesh, if you could take it away from here.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jeremy, for the lovely introduction. And I think it's a great initiative that Business Connect has taken up. Welcome to all the participants, and I'm really glad that you all are here. And it's a real pleasure for me to be taking up this presentation. So I'll quickly share my screen now. Is my screen visible?
Yep, you're good, Abesh.
Yeah. So first of all, I would like to introduce WASH Institute. So WASH Institute is basically an NGO which was established in 2008. And we are basically registered not-for-profit organization, and we focus on technical training, research, and development services to a range of stakeholders. So as you can see, our vision is a world in which all the communities have access to safe drinking water, sanitation services, and improved hygiene practices. By FCRA, we mean Foreign Contribution Regulation Act. So in India, this is the you have to have a certificate of FCRA in order to for foreign aid to spend foreign aid and to on different development projects. So we work across on 20 locations across 9 states in India and 1 union territory. We have actually worked across almost all across India through our capacity building projects, and we focus mainly on water, sanitation, and hygiene. And right now, we are also focusing on climate resilient wash. So overall, we have around 220 plus employees, and we are sector partner of National Jal Jeevan Mission. So National Jal Jeevan Mission is basically uh, a scheme launched by the government of India, under which basically they are targeting to give 100% household tap connection coverage. And then we also UNICEF empanel training partner, and we are training partners for different government organizations as well, such as this SKP. And we are also the founding member and former secretariat of NFSSM Alliance, the National Fecal Sludge and Septage Management Alliance. So that's a brief introduction about the organization. And so basically, we have worked across schools and hundreds of schools, around more than 800 schools now we have touched, and over 2.5 lakh children we have provided improved water and sanitation services, which are also child friendly and gender friendly, along with disabled friendly. So along with that, we have basically three verticals in which we work in. The first is the technical vertical, in which we provide technical consultancy like developing of SOPs, developing of manuals, guidelines for the government of India, along with different states. Second is the capacity building part, wherein across the states we go and train the government officials, sanitation workers, etc. And the third is our community wash, and in which we do the direct implementation of water and sanitation projects, which includes both school wash and community wash, and also different institutional wash. So now I'll quickly move over to the M&E processes. Now, by monitoring and evaluation, so there's like there's a common question that comes across, that when does monitoring and evaluation start and when does it end? So, like throughout my experience, from my experience, what I've gathered is it starts before the project and it continues during the project, and it does not end after the project as well. After the project also, you can carry on and do the end line evaluation and impact assessment. So while developing a project, I have seen, many a times we don't know, we start a project, but we don't know where we are going, what we are trying to achieve, what we are trying to do. So it's very important for us to design a logical framework analysis matrix. Now, what is that? That is basically a matrix. So I'll show you an example also, so that you can better understand it. So it is basically a matrix which encompasses that if I am a layman, and if I want to understand about your project and what it is about, what you're trying to achieve, what are your outputs, what are your outcomes, what are your activities, what kind of inputs you want to give to achieve those activities, and what are your risk and mitigation strategies. So maybe I'm doing a project with children, and I'm not factoring in the summer holidays or winter holidays, and I'm planning to do my activities during that. So then I have to do it in a way that the stakeholders are in line. I have to inform the teachers and all. Maybe I'm trying to do in an election year, in a period of election, and at that point of time, maybe government officials will not be available for the training, but still I'm planning. So we have to make certain assumptions that if you are doing a project with the government, we have to take a letter from them, you have to take consent from them, and then so basically there are certain assumptions that we, or maybe a place is flood prone, and and every 2 years or every 3 years there's a high probability of floods happening, and I'm trying to build an infrastructure during that monsoon period. So I need to be well prepared and accordingly prepare mitigation strategies so that I can mitigate the risk. So that is one. So now the second part is the MERL framework. Now this is also an important part. This document basically now that I know what all I'm trying to achieve and what all they are going to be. So in the LFA itself, I'll define the indicators. So in the indicators, so what do we mean by indicators? Indicators are something that will tell me if my project is being successful or not, whether I'm trying to achieve something, whether it is being successful or not. So for example, if I'm training 50 sanitation workers on maybe a safe usage of personal protective equipment. Okay, so what can be my output? My output can be that I have trained 50 sanitation workers on personal protective equipment usage. Now, what can be the outcome? The outcome will be that they have started you actually using it and practicing it on ground, on field when they are doing their works. Then they're actually wearing the PPE and they are basically while doing the cleaning works. And what can be the impact? So the impact from that can be that they are less prone to diseases, they are less prone to infection, they are less prone to different kind of accidents, right? So that can be an impact in their life. So similarly, there are like lots of like if you are building say a school toilet, then that can be a output. Then what will be the outcome? The outcome will be that the children are using it, the students are actually using it on a daily basis, and they are feeling the change. Now what can be the impact? The impact will be like can be that your attendance rate has increased. Maybe girls were dropping out before, now the girls are not dropping out. Overall visible cleanliness you can see better in the school, and children are more willing to come to school because many girls drop out during their menstruation periods if the toilet is not functional, or they do not the attendance rate drops. So those kinds of impacts then you will be able to see. So now by PIRS, this is getting more detailed into the key performance indicators. Now, once I frame the key performance indicators, I want to know that about each indicator. What do I want to know about each indicator is that how will I measure each of my indicator? Which stakeholder will I interview for measuring my indicator? What timeline I am going to trying to achieve for measuring those indicators? And what kind of tool I'm going to use to collect that information at all. So that is about the PIRS and yeah, frequency of collection, etc. So now I'll go over to my next slide. There are various different types of M&E framework that you will find across the world. One of them is the OECD. So it focuses on mainly these five factors: effectiveness, impact, sustainability, relevance, coherence. Now, what do we mean by effectiveness? Effectiveness is how many people through our works, how many people are we able to reach out to, and the quality of that reaching out to. We may be able to reach out to 1,000 people, but the quality of it might not be good, which means that the end result, the impact will not be good if the quality is not satisfactory. Now, then the sustainability. Sustainability is a very important question because we might do something today, and maybe after 6 months or 1 year, the infrastructure might, stop working. Now, the prime things that I have seen across my career why the infrastructure stops working is the lack of operations and maintenance. Now, what can we do to ensure that the operation and maintenance is good enough? In our experience, what we do is like, for example, we are building a school toilet block. In that, what we do is we make a child cabinet committee, and along with that we train the children, like we make one the like president, one the like that vice president and all. So we assign different roles. So what they do is they monitor on a daily basis, and we give them a checklist whether the taps are functioning, whether water is coming, whether there are any leaks, whether there is any broken thing, and they report it back to the teachers. When we of course give them a uniform and caps and all for so that they can associate more with their responsibilities. Then second, we also train the school management committees on operations and maintenance. And then we also train the people around. For example, we train the plumbers, we train different operators. So And along with that, we also give them a soap box. In the soap box, what they do, many a times we see that children don't have soap to use. So one initiative that we you always almost take up is that we introduce soap box. So we give them a soap box that is actually a soap bank, and the area is that no one has to contribute any money, but we basically the motivate the children and so basically contribute one soap once a year on their birthday. So if they contribute one soap once a year on their birthday, then the soaps keep coming, and you have more than enough soaps for the entire year because there at least there are 100 children, 100 to 150 children. So you have more than enough, far more than enough soaps for the entire year. So that way you can do. Another thing that we do is we do cleaner on wheels. So many times we have seen that, like, the school does not have enough money to pay the cleaner because they don't have enough funds from the government. So if that happens, then what we do is we pool in we find like, 3-4 schools in the same vicinity, and we give the cleaner a bicycle. And then with the bicycle, and when we give them a uniform and cleaning materials for the first time, and then he goes around and cleans. Now, the what happens is instead of going to, he was walking earlier, instead of going to one school, now he can travel to 3 to 4 schools. So that money gets divided within 3 to 4 schools. So like this, there are various components of operation and maintenance. We also do a stakeholder meeting with the government and all. We take them on board so that later on, if any major repair work is to be done, then they can always contribute towards it. So like that, basically, the project, any project that we do, we need to build in these sustainability factors. And yeah, so and relevance, and the last point is coherence. So yeah, so now I'll quickly go to the M&E process. Now any M&E process, maybe it can. So if we already have a project, then we can review the existing M&E framework. If we don't have a project, then what we can do is we can start with the baseline study. In the baseline study, what do we do? In the baseline study, we basically collect all the information about that particular type of thing that we are trying to do. Now, if we don't know what we want to do, then we can do a need assessment study. In a need assessment study, we try to gauge, say, we want to work in X area. In that X area, we don't know what are the issues. So we can always launch a need assessment study. In that need assessment study, what can be the tools? The tools can be, maybe we are going to people and doing focus group discussions. Maybe we are doing some PRA, participated rural appraisal activities. For example, daily activity chart we are building of the people. We are going them and doing a problem tree analysis in which we are trying to list out what are the risks, what are the problems, what are the underlying causes, and what are the effects. We are trying to associate one with the other. Now, once we know the problems, we do some interviews with different stakeholders, survey, FGTs. I'm sure you guys have all tried this all out. So once we know the problem, say the problem is on maybe drinking water, then what we will try to do is do a baseline. So baseline on drinking water. So we will basically capture the entire infrastructure of drinking water available over there, the requirements of the people, like how many people are there, and according to the national standards or state level standards, what is the standard that each person should get this many liters of water per day, and then what kind of water quality treatment is available or not available at household level, at institutional level, and at community level. So we will try to understand all that. The basically understand the magnitude of the problem and also the health effects. So if you're having, say, drinking water, then what are the health effects? Maybe like so many people die of diarrhea, millions of people die of diarrhea. So we'll try to, and other there are other water-related diseases like jaundice, etc. So we need to understand what are the health effects, and once we understand that, we speak to the local, maybe doctors. We speak to the local. So in each community, we will find that there are key influencers, and they are very knowledgeable. And if we can catch hold of them and ask them, and maybe make a WhatsApp group with them and interview them, then we can get a lot of information. Apart from that, of course, surveys, FGTs, etc. There. Now, once we have the baseline study, and findings and recommendations and all, then we can maybe start our project. And then, like we earlier said, we can do the LFM, logical framework matrix, and make the MERL plan. Now, wow, after we know what we want to do, where we want to go, what how we want to do it, and what all we are trying to achieve, then we start the project. Now, during the start of the project or before the start of the project, we also in the MERL plan itself, we want to know that how we are going to measure the impact of the project, and not only measure the impact but monitor the project throughout its timeline. So maybe I want to train 1,000 people in 1 year. That is my entire project. But I will have to break it up, maybe quarter wise or month wise. That maybe in the first quarter I want to train 300 people. In the second quarter I want to train another 300 people. And after the first quarter I see, oh my God, I've been able to train only 100 people. So which means I'm 200 behind. So which means I need to pick up 200. So how do I know this that I am 200 behind? I need to have some information that is trickling in. Now, if that information doesn't trickle in, then I'm lost. So that is basically monitoring of the project on a quantitative basis. Now, there is another thing called qualitative basis. Now, in the qualitative basis, we basically try to understand that whether those people trained are basically qualitatively in qualitative aspects, is it doing fine or not? For example, if the trainer is good enough or not, if the ambience that you're providing is good enough or not, then on a longer, like midterm or longer basis, we will try to understand if those people have actually implemented any part of your training or not. Or maybe if it's a drinking water project, if they're actually using the facilities, and if they are using the facilities, then what is the change in their lives? So measuring impact is all about the change in the lives of the beneficiaries. That is what we need to keep in mind. Now, if it's a capacity building, then maybe we can do some pre-test and post-test. So pre-test and post-test can be simple and it can be about the pre-test is what we take before and post-test is what we take after. Ideally, it should be the like similar or same questions so that we understand and we can compare easily, and then we can understand what kind of change in knowledge has occurred during our like because of our training. And if it's a uh, implementation project like a drinking water quality project and everything, then we can monitor the project during different durations. It can be through visits first, and another part that should be done is build an MIS. So when we build an MIS, management information system, it can be a live MIS. So we can either build it on Excel, or we can build it on Power BI, or we can build it on Google Looker Studio, etc. And what that helps us in doing is that we can track the project on a live basis on how it is going. And for that we need to orient our team on, it is very important to orient the team on how to feed in the data. Because if they don't know how to feed in the data, they will not be able to give you the correct data. Now, another thing that I've seen across my career, noticed across my career, that when you are basically, if 10 people are feeding or maybe 15 people are feeding in data, it might not be that clean. So because like we all have different day on data, so we have to try to make it as objective as possible. That is number one. And secondly, also it is if you have the resources, then it's much better to have an M&E, dedicated M&E person. Ideally, every project should have an M&E person. M&E and you can club it with documentation. So that person's role will be to take the data from maybe 15, 20 people and then maybe clean it. And then after cleaning it, you feed it in the MIS. So that otherwise, like a lot of like discrepancies can show up or the MIS might not work properly. Yeah. So I'll just go over to the next here. So if you're doing a capacity building project, then maybe you can form training report template, a simple training report template in which you basically say the number of people that you're training and and what you're training them on, and how you have to try to measure the different things. And then the MIS that I've already spoken about if the donor standard indicator, if the donor has any standard indicators, then you can count that in. And then the trainee profile sheet. So each trainee you can profile them according to the you can maintain a simple sheet. Don't need to go into nitty-gritties. So just their name and where they are from, so that at the end you know that maybe it's a large project, and in the end you have a figure of 10,000 people. I have trained 10,000 people, but I don't know who those 10,000 people are if I don't have the database. So maybe their name and then the age or simple where they are from and which topic I have trained them on and something like that. Or if you want to go into it further, like down the road, then you can always calculate the pre-post test scores and how they have implemented or what, like, do feedback calls and after 6 months and try to understand what they have, if they have actually implemented anything that you've trained them on or not. Then there can be the registration and attendance sheet that we, I think, all understand. Pre-post, we have all spoken about, and then the feedback. Now, the feedback is immediate feedback is about the quality of content, whether they're satisfied or not, whether they're satisfied with the trainer or not, whether they're satisfied with the ambience that you provided them or not, with the material that they have provided them, and with the overall satisfaction quotient. And what else also two or three things that I've seen that is helpful is what other things they want to learn, like from you, or like which will help them in their work. So that gives you a basis for that maybe for 200 people want to learn this. So that gives you even a better justification for carrying out your next round of trainings. And also that gives you enough information that you know what people really want, what will actually help them in their work, rather than you coming up with an idea of training them. So yeah, so that is another thing. Then of course the reporting can be quarterly, annual, monthly. So it is up to the donor, or you can from your own. So ideally it should be at least quarterly, and then half yearly and annually. And in the end, ideally and in the middle you can have a midterm evaluation study, where in the midterm evaluation study you can either engage a third party or you can do it yourself. But for the impact assessment, it's much recommended that you engage a third party, because otherwise it's very difficult to authenticate if you are judging your own work. Yeah, and the different databases you should ideally make the reports database. So key performance indicators I'm collecting, but I should also collect the make a database online, ideally the virtual database like on OneDrive or Google Drive or whatever you're using at your workplace, wherein where you basically store the sources. So you might be saying that 5 people have started implemented that training, like something that I have taught them. Maybe they are building a city sanitation action plan or a DPR. I'm saying that 5 ULBs, urban local bodies, have started implementing. Well, what is my proof of that? There should be some proof. So it can be proof in terms of the supervisor, or or some government official mailing you, or it can be proof in some other terms of the in the form of you can take a letter from them or in some other form, so that later on no one can deny that you have actually done the work. So letter of appreciation, if you're working from the government, is also a recommended thing, that so that you can show the people. Maybe some testimonials you can take from the different stakeholders that you're working with. It does not need to have to be senior officials. It can be the maybe even students, maybe teachers, maybe midday meal workers, all across the board, any stakeholder that you're working with. Yeah. So now we come to the staff roles and as now, ideally, it's though M&E is not the responsibility of the M&E person only. So M&E, runs through the entire organization and through the entire project. So it starts with the staff, like M&E person and the staff at the ground, and then it rolls up to the M&E person, and then maybe the person who's managing the project or directing the project, and then maybe the person on top of him, that is the chief of party, and then finally the head of the organization or executive director. So basically, what I'm trying to explain through the slides is the different roles that each person plays. So yeah, I'll go over to the next slide. Now, this is basically for a training only, like capacity building projects. So pre-training, you have your baseline, secondary, and primary sources. Then during training, you have your pre-post test quiz assignments, training quality feedback. And then you can also integrate a learning management system. So there are different learning management systems which have basically they're websites, portals in which you can adopt to like put in the course material. They can undertake the training through that. And then there are quizzes, comms, games, activities, and the pre-post test can be recorded, etc. And then after 6 months, if you're doing a training, it's ideal to call them up and ask what they have implemented it in, and if they have actually implemented it, how much knowledge retainment is there, and what they have used it in, and what change has that brought about. What and also another thing that is very important to ask, I think, is the challenge that they're facing to implement it. So maybe I've taught them about you know, personal protective equipment, sanitation workers, but they have not received it yet from their urban local body. Then what happens? Right? They can't use it because they are not going to buy it and use it. So then those challenges need to be recorded and passed on to the right people. So, like there are many kind of challenges. Like so sometimes it happens that same kind of PPE comes in for both men and women. It's not gender sensitive, so then it's difficult for the women to wear it. So similarly, there are many kind of other challenges. So the main learnings is that first of all, just to recap a bit, is first of all we need a need assessment baseline study, form a proper LFA MERL plan with set KPIs. Then I spoke about the MIS, then form the M&E tools in consultation with team and other relevant stakeholders. So we don't want the M&E person only to sit and or the M&E person with the project director to sit and make the M&E tools and MERL framework. So it ideally has to be in consultation with the different stakeholders, and not only the for setting the indicators and all, you can even consult the stakeholders that you're going to work in during the project itself. So if you're working with children, if you're working with teachers, if you're working with community people, then you need to take their input as well. And that will be helpful because then they will help you to monitor the project as well. So identify key stakeholders and influencers in community. So these are basically the key resource people in each community, wherein we can identify them and make maybe WhatsApp groups, and they can send you. Maybe I have done a drinking water project, or we have done a community toilet or whatever. But 6 months down the line, I do not have the money to go there and actually check whether it's working or not. But if I have a WhatsApp group of those key resource people, then what I can nowadays everyone has a smartphone. They can easily click a photo, and maybe I can give them a checklist, and they can take out some time and go there and do it. So similarly, if there is a village water committee, a village water and sanitation committee, they have their particular roles assigned to them, and if there is a WhatsApp group, then I can easily digitally check it out without actually going there. Then the capacitate local operators, watermen, plumb. This is very important that we have learned throughout our projects, that we need to build a pool of local resources so that they are available there for any operations and repair works and any maintenance works. And those numbers should be shared with the village water committee or village water and sanitation committee or whatever committees that you are forming, so that those people, when they have those numbers, then they know who to call if they are facing a repair and maintenance challenge. Then form and train village or institution level committees. So this I've already spoken about. Then engage government stakeholders. So this also I've spoken about. Data management, digitization. Now digitization of tools. Now that is another topic. Now digitization of any survey, digitization of so you can easily do it using different tools, such as you can use SurveyMonkey. So SurveyMonkey is a free tool, like it has its A version, but you can use it for free as well. And then Open Data Kit is another one. Then Google Forms is there, Microsoft Forms is there, and another one is Kobo Humanitarian Toolbox. So you can use all of this to easily digitize your tools. So in those you will find a place to store photos. You will find a place to store location as well if you want to, along with the information. Then next is learnings from the project should be clearly articulated in reports. Now, many a time what happens, we learn certain things, but we don't articulate it in reports. And then what happens is we again do the same mistake when we go back to maybe after maybe someone, because we will always not be there. Maybe some other person has gone in, but because they have not shared our learning, maybe I am doing something, but the same learning has not been communicated to my other fellows, and they are making the same mistake as well. But I have learned something, but I have not shared it. If I have not shared it, then it remains with me only, and it doesn't go anywhere. So that is very important, to share the learnings across your organization, across different platforms if possible. Then periodic visits, this is basic, and then WhatsApp group I've already spoke about. LMS I've spoken about. Midterm evaluation is necessary for review and course corrections. Then periodic reporting with case studies. So also case studies and impact change stories is also very important part of M&E. So maybe I can say that maybe I have benefited 5,000 children or 10,000 students, and given them with water and sanitation, or maybe I have provided drinking water to 1,000 people, but actually articulating the change of in the person of one life. And like you can start off with the problem, like what kind of problem he's facing. Maybe he was living in a hilly area wherein for decades he was not able to receive clean water, and he was forced to drink water through unprotected spring, and after walking maybe a couple of miles, and then again uphill 4 to 5 miles a day, and then carrying pots which is not even adequate. And then finally when he reaches that place, surrounded by the forest, there can be always different kinds of animals and different bug bites as well. And even if he reaches when he reaches that place, the water that he is getting is not pure. It is basically, it is contaminated with a whole lot of things. So literally, like looking at the entire problem, and then after looking at the entire problem, what kind of challenges he is facing, what is kind of challenges his family is facing, and then after understanding the entire problem, then what kind of activities that you have taken up, and what kind of change it has brought in the life of that beneficiary, along with so if you can make a short video, that is even better. If you can hire someone, then you can make a professional video. Even if you can't hire someone, then you can see some YouTube videos on how to make a professional video, and then you can go with your smart phone and shoot that small 2 3 minute video, and that really communicates to your donors, that really communicates to the people that you are working with. Because we may all be good with numbers, but what changed those that project your project has brought to the life of that one beneficiary, that touches the heart of the like all stakeholders. And then third party impact assessment I've spoken about. Adequate resource time, because this also has spoken about, there should be an M&E person, at least one, and everyone should be involved in the M&E. And at the end, maybe after your project, you can organize a workshop to disseminate learnings from the project. So, and from your impact assessment study that you carry out with your third party. Yeah. So if I have 2 3 minutes more, Jeremy, then I can show the LFM. Otherwise, I can conclude.
Sorry, I was muted for a minute. Yeah, go ahead and take a couple more minutes, and we'll get a little Q&A in there.
Yeah. So just quickly, I'll go through the LFM, not take much time. So this is logical framework matrices can be made in many different ways. Like across the world, it is it's not a one standard format that everyone follows. So there are certain parts that it should be there. So first of all, we should know what kind of activities we are doing, what kind of outputs or deliverables we are trying to achieve, and what can be the means of verification. So ideally, we should start from the top up. So we should try to envision what is the goal, what is the impact that we are trying to achieve. Okay, then maybe in order to achieve those impact, what kind of activities we are trying to do, and for that each activity when completed, with the number of people trained or with the number of people benefit, becomes an output. Then is the means of verification. So by means of verification we mean that how will you verify that you have actually done the training. So if I have done a training, maybe I have a training report, maybe I have some photos, maybe I have some videos. If I have done a school toilet, blog. Then maybe I have some photos, or maybe I have a handing over letter. So something or the other I should have, which should prove that I've actually done the work that I'm talking about. Otherwise, what happens is no one will believe us. Then comes the outcomes. So by outcomes, we mean that if we have maybe, like I spoke about, if we have done maybe a drinking water project, in which we have maybe served safe drinking water to maybe 500 people, then what can be the outcome? The outcome can be that those people have actually started drinking that water for a sustained period of time, and they are accessing that water on a daily basis, and they are not facing those hardships that I spoke about just 2 3 minutes back. So they are not facing those hardships anymore. So that is the outcome. And then what can be the means of verification for that? So what can be the means of verification for them actually using the water, them actually accessing the water, and then can be the impact level. So impact level is one step further, that you can basically, what is the change in their health status, what is the change. Maybe they have started to give their children more time. Maybe they have started they focus more on their children education. Maybe they have stopped falling ill that often, and due to that they have more time left and money left. They are spending less. They are spending lesser on the medical bills. So that can be also an indicator. And so because they are falling less ill, maybe their productivity has increased over time. So all this comes in the impact assessment. Now the impact will not be immediate. Now that we have to remember that if I start serving safe water through a community drinking water project, I cannot expect the impact the next day to go and assess the impact. I have to give it some time. Then after some time, what happens is then the people actually start using it, and then the impact is over gradually over a period of time. So if you are doing a 3 year project, maybe you can do the impact assessment after uh, 6 months of your project. So to assess the real impact. If it's a very long project, maybe 10 year project or something, then you can assess the impact in between as well. So that is that, and apart from that, so there are other parts as well. For example, the means of the inputs. The inputs are, what are the inputs? So I'll show you like inputs. I think I have it over here. The key inputs required. So if I'm doing a training, then what do I need? I need trainers. I need logistical support. I need a technical team. I need training materials. I need training coordinators. So these are maybe so all these things. What do I need for the training? What do I need for the project? Right. I need the staff, right? So and I need certain resources. So listing out what I actually need in order to A. So what is a LFM? Basically, I'll come back to the same thing, that it is a matrix in which we clearly define what we want to do, what can be a means of verification, and then what can be the assumptions and risk. So as I spoke about, the assumptions and risk for training can be the government officials. I'm trying to do a project with the government officials, but I have not received a letter from them, and that is getting delayed. So what will happen? My whole work will get delayed. Now, what can be the mitigation for that? That before starting the project only, I try to contact them and have a stakeholder meeting, and try to get the letter from them, so that during the project I don't waste that much time. So that can be a mitigation strategy. If there are like flood prone areas, then accordingly I can plan not to construct anything during the monsoon period at least, or maybe make it flood resilient, make the infrastructure flood climate resilient. So like that. So yeah, so that's it from my side. So yeah.
Abesh, thank you very much. And yeah, I mean, such a comprehensive view of M&E and the learning from it. And I've got a whole page here. Actually, of a bunch of different questions in 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 regards to this, because there's so many different aspects, from qualitative to quantitative. You touched on climate change. You touched on GIS in there and the importance of that, the different technologies. I mean, I really appreciate. I mean, I'll start with that. I really appreciate the comprehensive um, viewpoint of it. So I don't see anything in the Q&A specific, and I know we're at time. So let me ask one question here. And one of the things in M&E is reporting, and so I know from the beginning to the end, um, you know, the assumptions in mind as you do it. How do you see, how do you see the assumptions affecting the reporting? Because a lot of this is self-reporting. So, what are things that you see that really make that reporting piece? Because at the end of the day, we're getting data to learn from to do that. What do you see as one of the key things that you do to make sure the reporting um, doesn't have bias in play, but you can really get good information?
Yeah, so that's a very good question. So basically, in order to like if you have assumptions, so we will also have like learnings from the project. So if I'm assuming that I'm going to do a particular activity, and then on the basis of that, I'm trying to formulate my mitigation strategy. And during the reporting period, what we can do is not only base it on one person, or we can triangulate our information. We can take it from multiple sources, and we can take it from the beneficiaries itself. So we can take in, we can collect, like, make village water and sanitation committees, and take in and do surveys with them, and and visit them, do focus group discussion with them, and have those case studies. So that it's not about like us only reporting on our work, but also the beneficiaries reporting on our work. Another way is also this different stakeholders such as the government officials. You go and take a testimonial from them, video testimonial from them, and maybe they can talk about your project for a couple of minutes, and how it is helping them or not helping them, or how they want to help you. So that is another way. So similarly, it can be done for different stakeholders. So basically, triangulating the information and not basing it on your project team alone, but also taking in the beneficiaries, the key resource person, the village water sanitation committees, the government officials, and other stakeholders that are involved in the project.
No, that's great because I think a key word you said in there is the triangulation of that information, and I know you noted that in your presentation too, because that's a key part.
Yes.
Um, Abesh, I want to thank you for your time. I want to respect the people in here too, and their time, and respect your time. I know we're at close and we don't have that much Q&A time, but obviously this is recorded. If you're watching this on recording, thank you. There's a ton of learning here. Abesh's information's on there, and Business Connect can always connect you into this network and for more learning. Abesh, thank you again. I, I'll take the one of the key takeaways is sharing that learning, because sharing that learning is key. I mean, we have a knowledge hub on Business Connect's website. I know there's so many different knowledge hubs and places to publish that information. It's crucial, whether it be at World Water Week, at our Water Health Conference, or conferences in Delhi, or globally, that we share these learnings. That if we're not doing that, we're not progressing on the next mini project, right? So
Yep. Yeah, absolutely, Jamie. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the like this initiative, and for giving me the opportunity to speak and associate with the organization. And I think this is a wonderful initiative that Business Connect has taken up, and I really appreciate it. And thank you so much to all the participants for joining in. I'm really happy, and like if you have any queries, or maybe I can learn from. I'm sure I'll be able to learn from the participants as well. So yeah, so I'll be glad to have any feedback, any suggestions from them as well, and from you and Julia. And thanks so much to Julia as well for organizing this. Yeah.
thank you again, and yeah, to everyone in this chat and everyone watching in the future. This is what it's about: is about learning, the curiosity to get better, the curiosity to make better impact with better information. I mean, that's what we're talking about in this session, is that measuring, evaluation, and learning. And we don't drop that last piece off of there, because it's so important. So Abesh, again, thank you everyone, and have a wonderful rest of your week and year.